Greek is hard. It is hard, man. You got like declensions and you've got nouns and adjectives and they got to match and all these different like person and gender. And then you got prepositions. Prepositions, they change. They change their meaning depending on the word that comes after, what case it is. And then there's all these verbs. You got participles everywhere. Participles everywhere. And they have like so many different forms. And then you learn all the forms of the different ways that verbs can be used. Like you got the aorist and the present and the perfect and the pluperfect. And then when you've learned all those forms, guess what? There's a whole other system of transforming those words called me verbs. And then you've got to learn them again. Greek is hard. Hey YouTube, it's Dwayne here. So as you can tell from our little intro, Greek is a hard language to learn. And so it doesn't take much for us to become unmotivated in our goal of obtaining some sort of proficiency in the language. So I wanted to come on today and share a resource that I found helpful, not necessarily in learning the language, but helping me stay motivated to keep at the spade work involved in getting some proficiency there. So in comes this tiny little book. It's about 150 pages. Now, I'm not peddling this. I'm not making any money or anything. This is just a resource that I found extremely helpful. It's called The Minister and His Greek New Testament. This was written by A.T. Robertson. And if you have spent any time learning Greek at all, you've probably seen that name come up because he is, I would say, probably the bedrock onto which most modern Greek grammars have kind of come off of. So if you take a look at something like Wallace or Mounce, it's almost guaranteed that in their references, you're going to see this guy's name in there. So this little book here, again, as I've stated, it's not going to tell you how to learn Greek. Like it's not going to give you all the conjugations and all the paradigm charts and all that. That's not what the purpose of this is. But rather, it's a book that exhorts us to stay at it. It's an encouragement, and I probably read this, I don't know, at least once a year or so, just because it's such a helpful little book. Some of the really interesting things that you're going to find in this book, The Minister and His Greek New Testament, is he takes into detail some of the recent finds from his day, right? In A.T. Robertson's day, the discovery of the papyri in Egypt were just newly discovered, and so he had analyzed some of that. And in his grammar, which is called a Greek grammar in light of historical research, right? The historical research is that stuff he found in Egypt. He took that and sort of got a really good glimpse at some of the nuances that some of these Greek words used. Now that sounds kind of boring, but it's not, because what happens is in this book, he lays out a couple cases, especially for some of the prepositions like hyper or anti. Sorry, I'm doing modern Greek pronunciation. If I'm good, if my accent is good, go ahead and leave a comment below. If not, tell me how I can do better. So he goes into detail about how these are used in some of the historical documents of the time, because in Egypt, they found a number of papyri that detail day-to-day transactions. So, Jimmy over here just purchased 5 donkeys off of Bob over there. And John just purchased a house from Jim down the street. All these J names, I don't know where they come from. That's the kind of stuff he goes into. But one thing that I found particularly convicting almost is his story of John Brown of Haddington. I think it's closer to the end of the book, but I'll give you a sort of quick rundown without too many spoilers in there. But the gist of it is John Brown of Haddington probably deserves his own video. Didn't have any sort of education or anything like that in regards to the Greek language or anything like that, but he really wanted to learn the language. And so what he did is, because he knew Latin, he essentially used his knowledge of Latin to create his own grammar in Greek. And he eventually learned how to read in the Greek language. Now, the takeaway from this story is if John Brown of Haddington was able to learn Greek without a grammar, just on his own, then how much more should we be able to learn Greek who have all the grammars in the world? That was just a real quick summary, super quick summary of this book here. It's fairly cheap. It's about 150 pages. Wouldn't take long to read, but it has been an invaluable resource at keeping myself motivated in keeping at the hard work of learning the Greek New Testament. So I will leave a link in the comments below where you can find this book. Again, I think you can even find it for free online, or if you find it at Amazon or something like that, it's going to be very cheap. It's not a very expensive book, but it's definitely worth its weight in gold. So for you guys out there that are learning the Greek language, this one's for you. So keep at it. Stay encouraged. The reward is worth it. Well, brothers and sisters, until next time, we'll see you around.